Back for week 3 of my experiment with posting a video every Sunday, no matter what happens in the video, it's getting posted. So, today we're going to talk a bit about anger. Now, anger, of all of the emotions, is probably the hardest for me to talk about. It's perhaps the most stigmatized, and it's scary to talk about, and it's a scary thing to feel as well, especially to have anger problems. So, okay, as I'm trying to clear the memory out of my camera, I don't want to miss the opportunity to say that because of my age, gender, and race, and where I live, I am able to express anger in certain ways and have there be little to no consequences, whereas others of different genders and races will have different experience, and that includes experiences with the police and in the healthcare system. We'll just start at the beginning. I'll tell you a bit of a timeline about what I experienced, and then we'll talk about some of the resources I've used to help me with my anger. So, let's start with the timeline. I've really had a problem with anger since I was a kid. I would probably have a couple really, really big meltdowns a year, mostly at home. Did include, I guess, verbal shouting, as well as property damage. So that was that. And this happened pretty much since I was a kid through high school. And when I got to college, in the first semester or so, I became, even though I've had anger problems and problems with anxiety, I experienced depression, even though, of course, you don't really know it when it's happening. But the anger really flares up with depression, and so the two are actually very, very connected. And so ever since I really went to college, my which is usual for it's usual for mental health problems to start flaring up around young adult age. So I started different medication for anxiety, and I went to therapies, particularly in the summers, and I would still talk about things like anger. So even from when I was a kid, and I was also in therapy when I was a child as well. But things started to get better. Actually, no. Things started to get worse as I progressed in my years in college. And we began trying a lot of different things, including meds that just, I'm going to be honest, make no sense. I was on beta blockers so that the idea being to bring down my blood pressure and my heartbeat so that my impulses were not as fast. I was diagnosed with intermittent explosive disorder, which I do have a video on. And intermittent explosive disorder is pretty much what it sounds like. It's like a couple times a year you have really big incidences of rage. And then more times throughout the year, but less significant, you experience similar things. They happen more often, but they're less severe. So that's intermittent explosive disorder. I was in fact hospitalized, and that's when I think we did start to take things more seriously, and I was diagnosed and hit the meds harder. But ultimately, when I started to get on the right track was with a particular therapist, and with it was after hospitalization. It was with a particular therapist, and it was after trying Prozac. So I do have a blog post that walks through the 10 or more different medications I've been on, psychiatric medications that I've been on. Long story short is, I was on some weird meds before trying just like the most basic things. Like Prozac is one of, if not the most common SSRI antidepressant out there. And it took me how many years to get on that, and how much like emotional property, relationship damage did it cost of not being on Prozac. So I was on Prozac starting in 2019. Yeah, like August 2019. So we're going on 2 years now, and that has helped the most, getting the depression under control to help the anger, because when your depression's not okay, you're not going to be as resilient to be able to handle things that will make you angry, and you're not going to be able to put in the work and do the work on your beliefs that's going to help you avoid the anger. So there are a couple things. So one of the things being, when I was a kid and I was in therapy, and part of it was for anger. It was when I was a kid, and then there was also maybe the summer after freshman year of college, and maybe the sophomore year after college. What we talked about in therapy was what to do when I'm angry. So how can I release all of the energy that I have when I'm in a state where I'm super angry? And I always said to the doctor or the therapist, it's too late. I can't slow down once I'm there. Okay? But we never quite got there where they kind of could take that and do something productive with it. It was still about what to do in the moment. Again, it was strategy in the moment. You want to go for, if you're really angry, why don't you go for a walk? Why don't you step away? It's once I've already gotten there, there's no doing any of that. It's just Emma. My mind is blank and or black, and I can't think about what's happening. I'm not thinking about what's happening. I'm just doing it. It's my body taking over. And so, while I would try those strategies when I was angry, when I was younger, it just didn't help. There wasn't as much, I didn't have as much success with those strategies as I do with minimizing my anger with where I'm at now. And I'll tell you why. So, those were the strategies that for some reason they were focusing on, and logically I guess it makes sense. What they were seeing was, if you're at the point where you're destroying property, we need to channel that energy into somewhere else. But I was over here no, the ship has sailed, it's happening. Unless you physically restrain me, I'm not able to think it out in my head, or to think I'm gonna go do this healthy strategy, So, once I got to the point in therapy a few years ago, where I was older and I was with some new people, and my depression was a bit more under control, like I said, for example with Prozac, and trying to live a healthier mental lifestyle, that's when you start getting at the beliefs that are making it so you're getting angry, because you hold certain beliefs within you, whether you can articulate them or they're just really so deep down that you're not able to articulate them. They're there, and they're causing you to feel anger at when a person crosses the road. You're mad because this person crossed the road, or went before you at a four-way when that's not, when it wasn't their turn. So these small wrinkles in some people's day can, that'll be it for your day. Well, so there goes that. So I'm trying to think of in terms of a timeline, because I think that's helpful for some. but at the same time, I know that it was meds when I went on Prozac, and it takes a few months to work. And then I started, amping up. Yes, I found wasn't even this therapist that was that great, but she had some good book recommendations, and I'm the kind of person who is really actively in therapy. Like, if I'm going to do this, you're going to give me homework, and I'm going to do it. And I want you to be working to therapist. I can't just have it be like me working on stuff and you not going out and trying to find things for me, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at. A couple books I'm going to mention because they helped a lot. And that was brought to me by this woman. So one of them is Practicing Peace by Pema Chodron. This is a baby, teeny weeny book. Not even 100 pages long, and it's the size of my hand, smaller. About anger, but more so practicing peace. So this is where, if you know me, you know the word Shempa, and Shempa is that feeling that when you're getting mad, you can start to feel it inside of you, and you can start to feel the raising of your cells. That's how I explain my anger, is like the raising of cells, or your hairs, or whatever. It tells you how to sit with Shempa. It tells you about something called not biting the hook, which I'm sure you can imagine what that's about. But a super helpful book. Super helpful in anger management. So this, to me, way more helpful than trying to get myself to go for a walk at 10 years old. Trying to get me to go sit down when my adrenaline is running so much and read a book. Good luck with that. Okay, so this is about sitting with the emotion. It's really good. Okay, here's another one. This one is super duper popular. It's called Feeling Good by David Burns. Again, super popular. About depression, but not particularly about medicine. But he does talk about meds and medicine. So, like here I even have, like, here the mood stabilizer section. I don't know why. But yeah, I do. Anyway, this book is absolutely wonderful. And the chapters I love are, that I've actually done videos about, are Do Nothingism. Your work is not your worth, which is really important for those of you who watch and struggle with perfectionism, as well as Dare to be Average, Ways to Overcome Perfectionism. Part of my anger stemmed from the perfectionism. When things don't go my way, and people don't do things the way that perhaps I think they should be, or the way that, I guess I expected them to, or they're not doing it right, that can trigger my anger. And so you start to get at these beliefs like perfectionism that can exacerbate both anger and depression. So here we started to look at beliefs, and what he does a really good job at is talking back to you about them. So he's like, I had one of these on my Instagram, but it's like, would you think a person was less than because they made a mistake? No. Would you think they're less good of a person? I think I just said that. But no. So why would you think that way of yourself? So that's a way that he talks about perfectionism. Really important book. Have not read the whole thing. Just pick up and read different chapters as you need them. So there are 2 resources. And the point of this video, I guess, if there is a point besides telling my story, is that if you're feeling like you're just an angry person, you can't stop yourself from angry explosions. It's not just going to go away, and it's not just going to go away with Prozac. You're going to have to work for it, and you're going to have to examine your beliefs, and you're going to have to do it every single day, because I wanted to make a video that was like, what happened to my anger? Because it very much, it's did a whole 180 from where I was like a few years ago. But I don't want to make it seem like I'm never angry anymore and I don't deal with my anger or impulses poorly. One of the quotes from this book about Stoicism that I'm reading is, "Anger has the power to devour those who experience it." This, I believe, 100%. If you don't start getting help and getting better with your anger, things are going to get harder and harder. Things are going to get more intense, and anger is truly one of the emotions that's deadly. I know I say that. Perfectionism can also be deadly. So can anger. And yeah. I know that wasn't really much of a conclusion, but a lot of things in life don't have conclusions and we don't feel closure. So, just throwing that out there.